Hello everybody, it's the Alco Diesel Guy with another Will It Run video. I have here another SD40-2 from Northeast Trains, which I picked up when I was up there in Massachusetts a couple of weeks ago now. I'm going to go ahead now and pull this thing apart. As of I'm recording this, I should mention, I don't know when you're watching it, but yeah, you get the idea. So anywho, I'm going to pull this out again. This is listed as a, quote, no-go, which means it doesn't run. And again, I paid a whopping $20 for it. I recently got its sister running, so let's see if I can make this one work. So the same procedure, I'm going to be using my DCC system. I don't necessarily recommend doing this, I should say, for actually working on an analog locomotive. But because I plan to convert it, I'm only going to use it for a short time. You can get away with it. So I've got this out. So long term, no, but for a short test like this, you get away with it. Yeah, don't freak out. It's supposed to make that noise because it's an analog engine on a DCC track. Let's go now and see what she does. I'm going to turn the power up. And just like the other one, it is dead, or rather jammed. I think I know what's wrong with this one. Let me cut the power from my DCC system, because since I'm wasting energy. The last unit did work. Once I pulled it apart, what it ended up being is that one of those bearings on the end, one of the worm gear bearings, was seized completely. And just on one truck, although I lubricated both of them, I put some lubrication on that and it worked fine. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Going to take her apart and basically do what I did there and see if I can make this thing work as well. Getting into this, I'm just going to carefully pry the chassis, pry the shell away from this. I'm probably doing this wrong. Oh, well, that I didn't mean to come off, but it needs to come off anyway, so I'll just put that there for the time being. I'm going to wrestle this top part off again. There it goes. A little pressure and it comes loose. Trick is not to force anything. Just take your time. There it goes. Popped right off. Got a little bit hung up here, but I did get it off. Okay, so the last one had this issue where the motor was not able to turn freely. If I try this one, it's got the same problem. It won't turn. I don't know how well this comes out, but these flywheels will not spin over. So I think I know what the problem is. Again, it's kind of crazy. I'm not sure of this model because, again, outfits, these hobby shops they buy lots of trains from people who either were about to get in the hobby or just were collectors, etc. It may have been that this unit literally was delivered like this because it has an analog decoder on it and never saw service. Do we have any wear on the tracks? Actually, yeah, there is wear on this. So it did see service, so it wasn't one of those. But it could have just been that it was sitting in storage for so long and that caused it to seize. Anyway, procedure is the same. I'm going to take it apart and see about getting access to the drivetrain. Let me move my test track out of the way. Actually get this thing out of the way too before I knock it off. Don't want to ruin a good looking motive. Let's now go in and take it into about ×3 so you can see what I'm doing here. And now I'm going to go ahead and work on this. I'm going to now loosen the screws on both sides. You don't need to take them out. Although actually I do, because I'm going to have to physically open this shell up. I keep forgetting. I keep confusing the DCC procedure. For that, you just loosen them, but for here, I'm going to have to physically take this out. So let's go and do that. Get a little bit more light on it. I don't know how well this is working out. That's much better. There we go. It's getting dark in here. Those of you who are wondering, in case I didn't edit this together with the other video like I planned to or had planned to, I am recovering from a cold, so my voice is quite rough. My apologies on that, but I'm being forced to do a imitation of Marlon Brando, whether I want to or not. Hopefully this will lift soon. I've been fighting it for a while. Let's now just carefully pop this shell off. I'm just carefully going to pry this up. That should be free. Let's keep these guys right here. These are the washers. Don't want to lose them. You can lose these easily, and trust me, you don't want to. Here's that headlight assembly thing. I'll get that out of the way. Now let's gently pry this open. May use my pry tool here to get this done. Spongers really come in handy. Oh, there we go. I got it. Normally, I wouldn't go this far with one of these things because I don't normally disassemble them this aggressively. Oh, it might help if I pulled this analog board off first, wouldn't it? There we go. I got that. Analog board to the side. Now this whole assembly should come right apart. All these things fell apart right over here, so I don't need them. Those are the contact lines. We'll deal with them later. Let's get back into the chassis and see about what is going on here. And I think I already know. Not going to be presumptuous here, but yeah, again, it's seized. As you can see here, the motor will not rotate beyond a certain point. If I force it, it'll sort of turn. Not a good idea to force anything, so I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to take these two gear assemblies out, using my little pry tool here to gently pop them up. My sponger, I should say. This thing's stuck in here good. What did they do to these poor engines? Here's one with the gear off of it. And let's see if this is the problem. This one seems to spin. Oh, this one. Well, the front is okay here. This one spins fine on the outside. But this one in the middle here, see that? I can turn the gear with this thing. So that's the problem. This one here is seized. This one over here is fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my 107 oil. 108 oil, problem because we're again using N scale, so we use this type of oil instead of 108. I'm just going to lubricate this gently with some of it. Oop, that was way too much. Everyone seems to do that, including popular automotive channels. Yeah, this stuff just runs too quickly for some reason. Let me see if I can unjam this one and make it spin. Again, this gear here is the one seized, this bearing. So we're going to now mess with this until it turns. I'm going to see if I can make her spin. Ah, there it goes. If I don't have to buy another one of these because I did disconnect it a little bit here. Let's now push this forward again. Okay, now that's good. I had to put a lot of oil on it, but I finally unjammed it. That's how it should be. This is spinning now. This little other end bearing on top of it, like so. And I fixed this assembly. Now let's take a look at the other one. Just going to use my little tool here to pop this up. This one actually turns freely. It's always the one. It's always even the front, I think that is, or the rear one that goes shot. That's shot. I don't know why. But whatever the case, I'm in here now. I may as well add a little lube on both sides, so it doesn't get any ideas about jamming up on me in the future. This one right here, I gotta get her in here. I gotta do a little drop here. There we go. We need a little teeny tiny drop on here. And there we go. So I fixed that again. That's in good shape. Okay, and it looks like that was the problem again. Just jammed gear shafts. Worm gear shaft things. So I'm going to go now and put these back in place. I think with this one, because of how I handled the other one, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to give this thing a little bit of light gear lube grease just to see if that makes a difference. Or should I stick with the oil? You know what? I think I'll just stick with the oil on this because it worked last time. Why not try something you're good with? Why not just do something you're familiar with? Why just stick with what you know? I mean, why not just stick with what you know? I mean, can't speak today either. Okay, and this goes back in place. So again, it looks like that was the problem. This little assembly here was jammed on one side. Stupid bearings to make them fit. They go, they're squared off, so they go in. Same story with this one here. This goes right back in place. Oh, If I can keep this bearing on. This goes in here. Again, what these things do is they hold this gear in place, the worm gear in place, and locate it where it needs to be so it can spin on its axis and thus allow these things to work correctly. I'm debating whether I should put grease on this. I'm going to have to think about that. Give me 1 second, folks. Okay, so after hemming and hawing, I'm going to use some Labelle 106 micro lube on this. Again, not sponsored. I just use their products because they work really well. I'm just going to put a teeny tiny drop on each of the worm gears, because this is where it's going to make contact with the plastic gears, these metal worm gears. Oh, I didn't like how that popped right there. Just going to put a little bit there and a little bit over here. And that's going to be it. Now, before I put this thing back together, I first want to make sure grease even got on here. Oh yeah, it did just very little. That's all I wanted. Next, what I'm going to do next is just do light lubrication on the motor itself. The motor itself seems okay. I'm just going to tap this area here. You see it? And you're going to tap this area here. Right there. And we're done. Now with all that, I've gotten this area taken care of. It should now lubricate itself as it spins around. And if we look here, the motor will now spin freely, as we see. It spins very freely, in fact. So that seems to have been the problem again. Let's go ahead and reassemble and see what this thing does. I'm becoming a bit of an expert. Well, I shouldn't call myself that. I'm going to jinx myself on this, but what I've learned is that you want to put the trucks in as you reassemble things, because you'll never get them in otherwise. Let's slip that in place right now. There we go, got that done. And now it's all set to go again. Let's see if this thing will run just like its sister did. Once I did that one. Get my track up here for you. Back on the track. Let's take you out to zoom ×1, and let's see what happens when I throttle her up. And there she goes. So again, the problem was simply the jam shaft. That's insane. So for the price of $40, 20 a piece, I got 2 working sd40-2s. Might need to clean the wheels on this, though. It looks like it's had some mileage put on it. It may have been that the shop cleaned them before they sold them to me. I don't want to test it like this too much because, again, it's not good to run them on analog engine on DCC power. I'm just testing it to make sure it runs. Yeah, it runs very smooth. And so, just like that, I fixed yet another broken locomotive. Kind of anticlimactic, but not a bad kind of anticlimactic. I guess you can say it, for lack of a better term. Let's go ahead now and finish the assembly. One last little finishing touch. The headlight locker thing. So the headlight comes out. So the headlight on the front of the engine comes out of the actual headlight. Assemblies on this engine. The little headlight marker hole things on the front here instead of the cab. Let's now actually put the cab on top. And Just like that, I have yet another running sd40-2. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know it was kind of brief, but in a good way. I don't mind these things being brief when they work out like that. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Please subscribe, and as always, keep the metal side down.